Also, as you note there, a 6.5 degree of difficulty vault. So 2 gymnasts in this competition, the 2 challenging for the gold, both had 2 6.5 A-panel scores. Hong Shuzhong, the current leader, with a 15.812. Normally, this vault is a little more crisp for Cheng Fei. Didn't quite get square onto the vaulting table, did she? 15.937.
Pulled it out.
That's good enough. 9.1 to 9.4, her execution scores. She will be a 3-time world champion on the vault. Cheng Fei wins another gold for China. We'll come back with the final standings in vault in a moment. Don't go away.
Stop! Got it!
Very explosive and very beautiful technique.
There it is. There it is.
Ricardo punches it off of Fabio and out of bounds.
Warren can still win with a point, and he gets the takedown.
Picked up again for Nompon.
Ah, what an angle for that one.
Oh, Fabrice with that running attack. Just a great match.
Beautiful dismount with an awesome stick.
Fantastic.
Both players displaying their skills back from the table. Brilliant play from Wang Hao.
Let's get ready to take flight. Pure poetry. Wow. What a performance there. Well, they've got him. That is the stadium record. It's won. 1 lap to go. Number 1.
The new world record for the American. Oh, no!
Look at that.
And this is the Canadian Eric Gay, the 25-year-old from Quebec. Split time approaching, and Gay has bettered that by 0.2 of a second. Now he's lost that lead. He trails by 0.02, but there is some time to be found on the bottom of this course. Eric Gay has found the time, and he's found the lead. By half a second, the Canadian moves into first.
All bets are off when Saturday Night at the Track takes the air on WCSN. See the world's best displaying the speed, skill, and focus necessary to win a world title. Whether it's on the pavement, at the track, or on the dirt, the finish line is all that matters. So forget win and place. The only show you need is Saturday Night at the Track.
Back at the World Gymnastics Championships, the final results for the women's vault. Cheng Fei wins the gold. Hong Shuzhong from Korea, the silver, and American Alicia Sacramone will come up with a bronze. Good for her. She has now, in the last 3 World Championships, 2 bronzes and 1 silver. Cheng Fei was certainly well rewarded for doing 2 very highly difficult vaults and with good execution.
Here's the replay of her second vault. It's named after her. So hard. Such a hard vault.
Her technique is a little strange. She doesn't get quite square onto the table, and that wasn't her best twist off.
I agree, Bart. Normally,
she comes on very square. You see there, she's a little torque to the side and starts to twist. It's almost like all parts of the vault start to melt together. Not her best one, but good enough for gold today.
As has been pointed out, the new scoring system does benefit the athletes who can do the difficult skills and do them cleanly. And in this case, the gold medal appropriately goes to Chung Fei, the silver to Hong Shuzhong, and the bronze to Alicia Sacramone, who had lower degree of difficulty. Good execution, not perfect execution, but even if she nailed those difficult vaults that she does, the difficulty rating was not high enough to merit a gold medal performance. So in this case, I believe the current code of points has served the athletes well by separating the good ones from the champions. All right, the men's floor exercise awards will be presented. That was a great floor final.
The 4th EMBW World Artistic Gymnastics Championships 2007 Stuttgart. Floor Final Men.
Dritter Platz und Gewinner der Bronzemedaille.
Third place.
We've had several emails come in from people who have tuned into us on WCSN. Eric Wallace tells us he's in favor of the new code. It capitalizes on the execution of skills and awards difficulty. The new code encourages gymnasts to complete difficult skills and at the same time forces them to be aware of the execution of the skills. Good point. Although he does mention that it is difficult for the non-gymnastics expert to understand the code of points. And I think that is perhaps one of the biggest downfalls, is that one of the biggest brands in the sport of gymnastics was the perfect 10. And for a non-initiated fan, they don't necessarily know exactly what they're seeing technically, but they know that how close did they get to a perfect 10. There's a relative number that the average fan can pick up on. So the concern is that what is a 15.1 and what is a 16.15 and what do they all mean? As a gymnastics expert, we understand what they mean, but for a non-gymnastics expert, and typically someone who tunes in every 4 years to watch the Olympics, they're like, huh? What does that mean? At least in collegiate gymnastics, where they have retained the perfect 10 in women's college gymnastics, you have a whole arena full of people sitting on the edge of their seat thinking, how close can she get to a 10? And that adds an additional level of enthusiasm for the sport. Your feelings about this, Tasha?
I think that's a great point, Bart. I think that engaging your audience, as much audience as possible, is the main goal in this, in our sport. And basically, people could identify with the 10 very easy, regardless if you knew what was going on. The 10, the stick, and the fall, right? That's what it was. And now with the 16s and the 17s, I mean, even gymnastics fans, sometimes it's like, well, what does that mean? And so being so foreign to what's going on, it just makes people not really want to get into it, because if you don't know what's going on, it's really hard to get engaged.
You might lose the casual observer who says, well, I don't understand this, so I'm just not even going to watch. Please send us your comments to WCSNfan@WCSN.com. Here's an analogy. If your team is behind by 2 points in basketball and your player hits a three-pointer, everybody in the room immediately knows that you just went ahead. It's an instantaneous contact with the fans and the supporters. In gymnastics, you can see a great routine, and then it takes you a little while to analyze, well, how great was it, and was that good for the team? Was it good enough? In that way, you might lose some casual observers to gymnastics, because connecting the score with the relative importance of the score is difficult to do. All right, let's allow Diego Hippolito to enjoy his moment as a repeat world champion.
Die offizielle Siegerehrung findet statt im Anschluss an die Wettkämpfe auf der Medal Plaza in der Stuttgarter Innenstadt.
We have another email from Emma. And I think this is a very interesting point. The system now rewards people for doing more difficult routines. That is true. So I asked our viewers to send us a note about what they think is a positive side. And here's a perfect example. In the 1997 World Championships, I was there in Lausanne, Switzerland. Kui Huan did the most amazing, difficult balance beam routine. And yet Gina Gogian from Romania won with a much simpler routine. And if Kui Huan was competing here, that she would have had a much higher A score, difficulty value, and therefore probably would have won because she also had clean execution. So if there is one good thing about this code of points, it has the capacity to separate the great routines from the superb routines. And that was evidence here in the vault final, where the two champions, gold and silver, went to the athletes who risked the highest degree of difficulty. You compete in collegiate gymnastics where everybody is somewhere between about a 9-7 and a 10. And sometimes it's difficult to separate the good ones from the great ones when you have a ceiling of a score with a perfect 10.
That's very, very true. Nationals especially. I mean, you've got 20 ties with a 9.95. And legitimately, not all of them are 9.95, but when you've got that many Yurchenko fulls to start scoring, it's a bit difficult to start distinguishing which ones are great and which ones are good.
Now, the motivation in collegiate gymnastics is very different. It's to create parity. It's to create a contest. And I have to say, I enjoy seeing collegiate gymnastics because whether it's Georgia, Alabama, or UCLA, Utah, you have a contest going down to the last athlete who hits the last landing. And for the fans, it's a thrill because they're into the game. And whether you're the best team on paper or not, every meet is a good game. It's a good contest where you come to the World Gymnastics Championships and based on what they bring to the table, you may not even have a good contest because if you have the highest degree of difficulty and you hit it cleanly, you can't be touched.
Most definitely. The 10 in college, I think, is a great thing that they've kept. We get so many fans. We get the whole athletic department to come, the football players, they dress up, basketball players, John
they dress
Wooden.
Up?
Yeah, they really do. They wear the ref forms, and everyone in the crowd has the 10s to hold up, and they make 10-0 signs, and so it's all based on the 10, which is very fun. But I really think it's important in gymnastics now to separate the good routines from the great routines. I just really wish it was set up a different way.
Well,
how? Okay,
you got to follow up with that, dear.
I was thinking more like keep it how it used to be as far as the scoring system and showing, okay, so we have the routine and we've given her a 9.85. And then on like a separate score, well, she has an extra bonus of 5 points because of her difficulty. So the average viewer can see, okay, 9.85 plus extra 5/10 because of her difficulty.
Oh, you're going to add a whole other system and completely confuse everybody.
I challenge the viewers to maybe come up with a system that, you know, they believe might work best in this quadrennium.
Cheng Fei, 3-time world champion on the vault. There's no question about that result. Hong Shuzhong, the silver, and Alicia Sacramone from the United States earns another bronze medal. Very exciting first two events. We have 3 more events coming up. The men will take to the Pommel Horse when we come back to Stuttgart.
The American, he's going to shatter the world record. Phelps, world record. Magnificent.
Back on the water. She really does rack up the tricks there.
Germany just edging ahead where it matters most. Maybe by 1 or 2 centimeters, just getting there.
They do this combination so beautifully. Look at that. Phenomenal stuff.
This is amazing. He's just won the gold medal.
So really impressive paddling by the Italian.
They look like they just did a sprint from beginning to end with not 1 second of rest.
WCSN.com brings you the countdown to Beijing.
What a performance there. It's going to be too close to call. And she does it.
Watch World Championships.
Unbelievable stuff here at the World Championships.
Be a part of every world record.
The new world record for the Americans.
Watch your favorite champions win medals daily. Only at WCSN.com.
Wrestling fans are in for a treat here. Mahan Lopez of Cuba. Last year's world champion. This man is a beast. 1-0 lead right now for Lopez. Stands up with it and goes for the throw. The mat official awards 5. It's confirmed, and that will end the bout. This match didn't last very long. They call that a suplex in professional wrestling. Here it's a 5-point throw and a victory.
The course is set. Destination, the Four Corners, where background, stats, and stories are mapped out each week. Race and track. Over and in the water. On the snow for winter sports. And on and off the floor. Meet the athletes, get the stories, and see the action as WCSN takes you inside the sport, inside the corner. The Four Corners, where only the best need apply.
WCSN.com brings you a winter wonderland.
Let's get ready to take flight.
Pure poetry.
Watch World Championships.
Oh, good God!
Be a part of every world record.
This guy is capable of going really far at any time.
Watch your favorite champions win medals daily. Only at WCSN.com.
Getting set now for the finals of the men's Pommel Horse. Here are the list of 8 competitors who qualified into this competition. Xiao Qin from China is a heavy favorite based on his qualifying and complete execution. For our American viewers, Sasha Artemev, who was the bronze medalist in last year's World Championships and the highlight for the American men last year after a 13th place finish in the team competition and not good results in the all-around. The American men were thrilled to come away from Aarhus, Denmark with the bronze medal that Alexander Artemov delivered. So we take a look at the 8 athletes who will step forward and compete for gold, silver, and bronze here. I'm Bart Connor along with world medalist Raj Bavzar. What do you think about the Pommel Horse final?
Now, this is a really good squad of guys. Obviously, it's going to come down to the gymnast that makes the least amount of deductions. We're going to see a lot of the same types of combinations. I'll point out anything that's very unique and rare. A lot of these guys, what separates them from the rest of the world is that they are doing long routines that are very, very difficult. I know in the United States, one emphasis we place heavily to better ourselves is Pommel Horse. And this squad of guys would be a great group of guys to learn something from. I'm excited.
All right, so when we come back, the best in the world will compete on the Pommel Horse. Don't go away.
But it's a free ball. Wilkins puts it away.
Beautiful side kick. Nice jump kick.
Chen mixing it up, taking his eye off that one.
It's a short shot. It's a big one now. Oh, yes, and 20 points to 15. And Thailand certainly deserve to be in that position.
WCSN brings you another defining moment from the championship corners.
This is for the gold medal. This is for the World Championship. Clear far post, US score. Low and winger again for 5. That's it. It's over. The United States have won the gold medal. They've defeated Australia in the World Championship final at the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre.
WCSN.com, your destination for World Championship sports. Live events.
This is an amazing sport.
Highlights.
Alison Felix takes it from Sanya Richards and Veronica Campbell.
Photo galleries. Sports you live and love. WCSN.com.
A single line, etched into space and time, is limitless to some. But to others, it's the edge. Go! WCSN embraces its wild side with athletes willing to put it all on the line for the gold. If you spin it, flip it, jump it, grind it, you'll find it all lands here on WCSN. The Edge. Stay on or falter.
That was amazing. Can it be done? It's really tight to 33. They've done it.
Very fast and synchronized, totally matched here, looking great. They really nailed it. I don't think they could have done a better job.
Getting set now for the finals on the Pommel Horse. Raj Bavzar and Bart Connor calling the action live in Stuttgart. First up will be Daniel Keatings, the youngest gymnast to qualify in any of the men's finals. He's just 17 from Corby, England. European Championships this year, he was second on the Pommel Horse, and he qualified coming into this competition with a 15.675.
And that's a scissor mount. Some of these gymnasts will opt to do their scissor sequence near the beginning of their routine. He has a nice looking swing. And that's a very rare element there. That's a 1080 Russian.
In between the pommels.
Which gives it a...
oh, no!
You hate to see that.
Oh!
But that's the kind of thing that can happen on this event. You get a little bit off and you try and fight, and at some point there's just nothing you can do anymore. You're completely off.
This travel is called a Wu, invented by the Chinese gymnast. Unfortunate, because that 1080 in between the pommels was just brilliant.
That was very nice. He's going to repeat the element. He's actually got a very nice swing. Interesting dismount.
Well, I hope we see him again sometime in the finals, because that was really a young man of just 17 years of age.
Oh, he'll be back.
He'll be back. He's good. Unlucky for Daniel Keatings.
Just a hand slip, and the judges will take that 8/10 deduction, as well as you see those leg separations. All those count towards deductions. So.
Now, you mentioned that he also went up and repeated the skill. You're allowed to repeat the skill, because basically if you don't complete the skill, you don't actually get the credit for it.
Exactly. He fell on that element, so he lost the credit. That would not go towards his difficulty, so he opted to get up there and do it again, which I commend him for, and he will receive credit.
Well, not what he expected for sure in this final.
Mit gerade mal 17 Jahren hat Daniel Kielix die Zukunft noch vor sich.
Here's his score. 6.5 is the degree of difficulty, and you can see the reflection. The score's in the low 8s for the execution score.
Nächster Turner aus Weißrussland, Alexei Ignatovic.
It's interesting, you'll see some of these gymnasts not only chalk up their hands, but the backs of their arms and their underarms a little bit, because get swinging and become a little moist, so they want to keep the areas dry so they're not too all over the place on the horse.
Ignatovic, the 21-year-old from Minsk, very high elevation over the pommels.
He has a very straight-looking swing. His body is in one position, which is very nice.
Qualified 5th. He's the only Belarusian gymnast in the final here, and they had a highlight in the fact that they were 12th in the team competition, and means they qualify a full team to the Olympics next year in China.
Oh! Another one.
Here's a good point. He's up there a long time.
Right.
And you mentioned that right away, that this is sort of survival of the fittest, who can stay up there a long time, rack up a lot of points. It comes down in many cases not only to your technical expertise, but just flat-out endurance.
Endurance plays a key role, especially on Pommel Horse, where there are no connection bonus points awarded. So essentially you're doing as many skills as you can jam into the routine.
Now, I haven't counted up the number of circles, but in my era, a routine might be somewhere between 22 and 25, 28 circles around the Pommel Horse. In order to be competitive these days, you have to do somewhere between about 35 and 42 or 3 circles, which is, we're talking 50, 60% longer. And, just to jump up and do 40 circles in one set is fatiguing, let alone with all the skills and combinations.
Absolutely, and something that a lot of these gymnasts do in their training is just jump up there and max out circles, see how many circles they can do in a row.
How many is the most you've ever done in one set?
Myself, I've done 63. Oh, in training.
Did that involve vomiting at the end as well? That's intense, 63.
You're gassed. You are gassed. And then it's that much harder. You're not just doing circles. Like you said, you're doing these intricate combinations.
Ignatovic was 4th in the world's 2005 on Pommel Horse. This is interesting. We talked about some of the guys the all-around and team competitors who might be a little bit worn out. No excuse for the first two performers. They are essentially specialists in this competition. Keatings and Ignatovic not competing in the all-around or team finals. But there will be a gymnast coming up who has battered himself all week long, and that'll be Tomita of Japan.
And sometimes, that can work out to your advantage, that been out on the competition floor
good point.
More number of times than some of these other gymnasts. So while you want to be fresh and have that break, it can also work against you. Someone like Tomita, who's already experienced on this podium, can work through a set and be a little bit more familiar with the environment, has a better chance of hitting.
I remember the first time I competed up on a podium. This is essentially about 4 feet off the floor. You're raised up above the judges. The sight lines are different. The lighting is different.
Right.
The podium itself is a little springy because it's a riser, essentially.
Right.
All the dynamics of the equipment is different on the podium than it is back there in the training gym, where it's bolted to the concrete floor and the lighting is usually dimmer.
That's right.
And there's not a group of fans watching you. So the atmosphere in the training hall as opposed to the competition hall is incredibly different.
It's a drastic difference, and almost to the point where when you step out on the podium, you get a little bit of shock value if you're not used to it. So as many times as you can get on that podium, we gymnasts love to get as much experience on that podium as possible.
Here's a good example. I noticed when on your vault run. Because the podium is springy, my steps were a little bit longer when I was running for a vault. So I had to use a different distance of run for my vault on the podium as I did in the training hall moments before in the warm-up, just because I knew that the spring of the riser was going to extend the length of my step a little bit, that my steps might beat off, as we saw with Kramarenko from Russia when she got a 0 on the vault. The dynamics of the equipment completely different up on that springy podium.
Absolutely, and that just goes to show how technically finite the sport of gymnastics is, and something that as simple as where your steps are can determine the entire routine.
And in the case of the Russians, it determined, for instance, the fact that they had a guaranteed bronze medal that they handed over to Romania. Hey, there's Yuri Korolev, one of the judges on the Pommel Horse, one of the few gymnasts in the world to win 2 world all-around titles. Ignatovich, 14.7. 6.2 was his degree of difficulty in that. Well, here's a guy who's been out here all week long, Tomita.
Right.
We saw him beaten down, struggling through the all-around competition yesterday.
And he's relatively clean on this event. Like we were saying earlier, Bart, one of those complete gymnasts, very balanced. It's nice to see some all-arounders make event finals. Very nice execution on that flop sequence. I love his toe point. It just really stands out. You see a little bit of skewing there on those travels. The judges are looking for the shoulders to be square to the horse as you travel up and down.
Finished 12th in the all-around, had 3 falls in that competition.
And this is a very good set.
Nice, yes.
Good for him.
Once again, there is that sense of calm and rhythm. He's not rushed.
Absolutely.
He is a cool character. Last year's World Championships, he placed 7th, and qualifying into this event, qualified in 8th, 15.375.
Struggled a little bit in the all-around competition, but looks like he's well prepared for event finals.
Look at that. Just hanging out.
Yep.
It's the World Championships. I'll be up next. We'll also see him in the ring finals later today, and then he'll be on the high bar finals tomorrow. Got a nice comment here from Dominique Mociano Canales. Gymnastics fans, of course, know her as member of the 1996 Olympic Championship team. Dominique sends in a note that says, perhaps the silver lining with this code of points is that the gymnasts with the greatest variety of skills and the most endurance are rewarded in the event finals. That is true. I agree, Dominique, wholeheartedly. This code of points works in the event finals. I don't know if it works anywhere else, but in the event finals, I do believe it does separate the great routines from the even greater routines.
Very true, and
we're about to see one.
I love watching this guy swing.
Let's just sit back and watch the top qualifier, Pommel Horse phenomenon.
If you ever wanted to take notes, folks, now's the time.
Defending world champion.
Look at his swing.